Welcome everybody to the highly anticipated standings breakdown with your man, the commissioner, and the legend, the Demons owner. Thank you, Demons owner, for being here. And let's break this down. I'm excited for this one. What's your first initial thoughts when you take a look at the standings here in week 13 coming up?
Thanks for that intro, Johnny. It is a bottleneck. That's my first thought. That you technically are not safe with 8 wins right now. I mean, there's 3 teams with 6 wins that could, with a
Yeah.
tiebreak, get in front of you. So the only team that's really clinched are the Gators. Everyone else has to still fight for their spot. And there's 2 more teams below. I think it's the Vipers, and not 100% sure who the other one was. I think it's the Vipers and the Piranhas. I think the Dragons still have a shot too. They can still finish over 500 at 8-7. But for these teams that are on the outside looking in, they're like 6-6 is an okay spot to be right now. 5-7, you're getting a little. It's getting a little tough. You have to win all 3 and hope for some help. But 6-6, you're doing okay. You got to go 2-1 and hope for some help. It's a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. The 6-6 teams too, the Piranhas and the Vipers, are playing each other here in week 13 at a very pivotal point in the crossroads here, or in their path here to the playoffs. They're trying to get in with only 3 games left in the season. Dragons, the defending champion, on the outside of and in the bottom 8. Can't get into the top 8, and with only 3 games left, they're gonna have to have quite the 3-game streak here to get back in. And like you said, these 6-6 and 7 wins. There's only 2 teams that have 7 wins. I know that. That's the Demons and the Werewolves. And then the 8 teams are the 4 teams that have 8 wins. Like you said, there's 3 weeks left, so they could technically finish 8-7.
Yeah,
So
if one of them loses out,
yeah,
they finish 8-7, which is where the
yeah,
Dragons could finish if they win out. So you see where one of those teams could actually get eliminated,
right,
especially
right.
considering one of the Piranhas and Vipers are guaranteed to win this week. I mean, unless there's a tie, but they're almost guaranteed to win.
Yes, yes, I agree. Yeah, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, the Rhinos and Demons are also facing each other. They're up there. Um, the Gorillas and the Werewolves. So the Werewolves are a 7-5 team. They're fighting the Gorillas. Bears and Blue Jays are going against each other. Panthers and Gators. Rhinos and Demons. Cobras and Wildcats. That's a big one because Cobras are right on the edge too at 6-6. And the Scorpions versus the Wolverines this week. These are some big ones here. By looking at the standings, give me a team that's in the top 8 that's not going to make it, and give me a team that's in the top or the bottom 8 that you think is going to make it. I'll go first, and I'll say that the Vipers are probably the bottom 8 team that's probably going to make it in. And the top 8 out of the top 8, it's, you would assume that it's going to be the Werewolves or the Cobras there. So it's one of those 2 teams, but you never know with one of these 8-4 teams. There could be a winning record to not make the playoffs this season.
Yeah,
So
I'm. I hope I don't jinx myself by saying this, but it could be the Demons. It could be the Demons. The Demons could be 8-7 and not make the playoffs. I could see that. I could actually see that happening. I'd be very upset. I mean, I don't want to. I want them to be in the playoffs. I want to be in the show, but I could see. I have a pretty tough schedule here. I got the Bears, Rhinos, and Cobras to end the season. So I mean,
true.
Demons could be one of the outside looking at it. But I mean, out of those 8-4 teams, I feel like they have to win. You get to 9 wins, you're in. You're not going to miss the playoffs with 9 wins. You're guaranteed in with 9 wins. I can't
Let's take a
see a
look at the
scenario
schedule.
where they all lose. That were Bears are probably going to beat the Blue Jays at a minimum, right? They could lose to them. Anything can happen, but they're probably going to beat the Blue Jays. 9 wins gets you in. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, and then finish 9-6
yeah,
even, or take
assuming
or get
assuming
one
the
of
other ones
those
are
wins.
lost.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
they're probably gonna get more than they're probably gonna win at least two of those. I mean, we'll see though. You're
Bears
just
got to
judging by the
win
ratio
one
now.
game. They just
Yeah,
got to
they got to
win
win
one
one.
game. Yeah,
Yeah. Earlier in the season, I thought the magic number would be 8, but it's 9 right now. 9 guarantees. 8 does not.
let's talk a
Ooh,
little
so
bit
let's
about the
move on to
Bears.
is it, if you scroll over, is it the Cobras?
Cobras are next, or Blue Jays then Cobras.
Okay,
Yeah.
these are out. I'm not trying to overlook them or anything, but we can just move on from
No, no,
them,
no.
right?
No, no, no. The Bears. I was gonna say just one last thing before we move on, and I got a piece for the Blue Jays too, real quick. The Bears
Okay.
here, though, all they gotta do is win one game. So if that's the case with these Bears, then this Blue Jays game is really big because the Demons and Gators game are not guaranteed wins. So keep an eye out, guys. If you're watching this and listening, the Bears, if they lose to the Blue Jays, then they may be in serious trouble because the Demons and Gators are going to give them a run for their money. So if they get this win with the Blue Jays, then it's clear sailings. But if the Blue Jays, for some reason, somehow can pull off a win against the Bears here, which they do have a good record against them all time, it's totally possible. But the Bears, if not, if they get in, they're going to be doing some damage, and we'll be talking about that later on. And then the Blue Jays here, they're out, like the Demons were saying, but they have a chance here to play spoiler for almost every single team they play. The Bears, they have a chance to play spoiler. Cobras, they can really notch them down. They're 6-6. Every single team, especially the Cobras and Dragons here, they're both on the edge here. Can the Blue Jays, steal the hopes and dreams and play spoiler for the Cobras and the Dragons? And I'm trying to set the stage for these games. You know what I'm saying? Like, because
Oh man.
these games, these games are huge.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
go
you know
ahead.
what? That's a very good point what you just made because, yeah, the especially when you're looking at the Dragons, who maybe they win the next two and they're looking at a chance, and the Blue Jays could spoil them on the last week of the season, or
They
if
could.
the Cobras lose this week, the Blue Jays could effectively knock them out by beating them, right? It's the Blue Jays are these games are big, and they're still
Yeah.
meaningful games. That's good to see for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, all these games are very meaningful for the Blue Jays and for the teams they're playing even more. Like, know what the best part? You just laid out the perfect scenario. If they can beat the Bears or the Cobras, build up a little momentum, and then these Dragons are going to be fighting for their life. I love you, Emmanuel, but the Dragons and the Blue Jays are rivals. Would it be sweet to be the last week and the Dragons need to get in and the Blue Jays can beat their rival and knock the defending champs out of the playoffs? That would be fun to see.
Well, look at this too. They are 2-1 in their last three. So,
Yeah.
you know,
There you
all
go.
of a sudden you
Yeah.
look at that and you're like, that's some positive momentum too that these Blue Jays are riding.
Love it. Love that. Love the storyline. Love I gotta love the story behind it. And then the Cobras here. Cobras are a strong team, man. They've always played really strong. Um, Going against the Wildcats is going to be quite the challenge because the Wildcats are playing really, really well. And but they're at home. The Cobras are at home, which always gives you an advantage in the running game. And they're a very run-heavy team with a great defense. Pretty sure, what is their defense ranked right now? Fifth. They have the fifth ranked defense. Cobras are looking really strong, but again, they're right on the edge, man. They are right now the eighth seed, right on the edge with the Dragons and the Vipers and Piranhas
Piranhas and Vipers,
clip it,
right?
yeah, clipping
Who's
at
got
their
the
heels,
tiebreak?
yeah.
Who's got the tiebreak out of that group? You scroll
That's a
up. Who do
great
the Cobras
question.
play? So they beat the Vipers and lost the Piranha. I wonder if they all have one win against each other. Well, you're gonna get. We're gonna find. Yeah, the tiebreak isn't settled, right? Because the out of the three of them because my first Piranhas play this week. Either way,
Well,
there's something interesting
yeah,
here. So Wildcats are a tough one, but
yeah.
if the Demons don't win another game, it doesn't matter
Oof.
what the Cobras do. That game against the Demons could be for the last playoff spot.
That could
Because
be because if say they get 2 wins, the Cobras, and say they upset the Wildcats and then beat the Blue Jays, that would put them at 8-6. And then the Demons are say the Demons go 8-6 and win and lose 1 or 2 games. That's right at that point where the Demons and Cobras are going to be fighting each other right at the last week.
but they're fighting for the tiebreak too, right? So
Right.
if the Demons are 7-7 going into that game, and the Cobras are 8-6, both get or 8-7, right? It's really like it's almost the Cobras have to win that game out of all games. That's the one they need to sort of like because the other two don't matter as much for the tiebreak. But even with the same thing said, the Cobras like hear me out. The Cobras could go 0-2, be 6-8, but the Demons would be 7-7. If the Cobras win, they're in. I think it's pretty close. I don't know. You might. It depends on how the other teams play
Right.
out. You might be in with a 7-8.
Right, because they would have the same record but have the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
And to play the team at the end of the season that you potentially could be like bottlenecking for the 8th seed is some drama on its own right there. The
That week
schedules work
15
out
game.
beautifully.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's going to be a wild game. That's going to determine a lot of playoff fates. That the Cobras Demons, just because I think their records are going to stay pretty similar going down the stretch. But we'll see. Anything can happen. CSFL is impossible to predict. We'll see what happens.
It's true. It is
The
very
only thing you
true.
can
Yeah.
predict for the CSFL is that the Vipers will beat the Gators. That's about it. That's the only thing you can
That's
predict. I don't know how. I don't know how. But
That's a beautiful segue. Love that. That's the best segue you could add to that. It's so true. That's the only consistency for domination in this league. But yes, the Cobras have a big chance here to turn the tides and to control their fate as they're potentially in right now, and they just got to keep winning and rolling as they've been doing really good on defense, and the quarterback they were bouncing back and forth between quite a few quarterbacks, but now they've been sticking with their man Benjamin Harris, the former uh, the former no, it's not Benjamin Harris actually. Sorry, it's Bradley McNamara.
he was also a
Bradley
Bear.
McNamara,
Yeah.
who was also a
Yeah.
Bear. Yeah, he was the Bears quarterback who's reviving his career right here and may have a chance to take his team to the playoffs. That would be huge, man, for Bradley McNamara. And then the Demons. The Demons. They have probably the hardest last 3 games. And they are 7-5. You're going against the Rhinos, and they're on the road against the Rhinos too. And then the Bears, which we all know the rivalry between the Bears and the Bears and the Demons and the Rhinos and the Demons. This is like bad blood, like between these like two teams, and they happen to be right at the end with the season on the line, and the Rhinos and the Bears are also playing arguably one of their best seasons, especially the Bears, and the Cobras are a gritty team that can beat anyone on any given day. So there's no guarantees here for the Demons to make you feel any more uneasy than you already were.
I blew a
Yeah,
chance last week. I mean, I had the Panthers coming to my house, and my team laid an egg. Like that was the worst game of
right.
the season that my team played. It was so hey, that's what happens. You had an opportunity and blew it. Uh, need to win one of the red games against the Rhinos or the Bears. That's as simple as that. I need to if I win one of them, I got a tie break against them, and then probably comfortable at 8 wins. Realistically, it's but
Right.
you never know how things land. I think if I win one
Yeah.
of the three, I'm in, but I don't know. The Cobras is obviously the easiest game by record, but Yeah, it's absolutely, there's no losing teams here left. It's a tough grind. We'll see what the Demons are made of. The
This
Demons
is
are
a
no
tough
pushover
grind.
either.
Yeah, yeah, but the Demons are no pushover either, obviously, with Eric Bell and Derek Crowder, and now the huge new addition, Jackie Wilson, who had a freaking career day in his second start ever with the Demons, and Eric Bell ties the record for most passing touchdowns, and the potential is just through the roof for these Demons. And I'm excited to see them every single time they come out on offense. So that's going to be a great game. Rhinos versus the Demons. That's the game of the week for Week 13. That's going to be a big one.
That's going to be a big one. Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
That's going to be a big one. The Dragons have lost a lot of games in a row. They beat the Scorpions, who the Scorpions almost actually beat them in that game. It was they were actually up in the majority game. I think it was 17-0 if I remember right for the Scorpions, and then Billy Beer League,
Oh no, he didn't
it
blow it,
started
did
to
he?
kick in. Yeah, it's the beer started to kick in because it only takes about 40 minutes to kick in.
He was up too much at halftime and just had a good time in the locker room.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
Billy Francis.
5 losses in 6 games between week 7 and week 12. The defending
That's rough.
champions, and they even lost, and they gave up 52 points to the Gorillas. So the Dragons have not been looking good. They definitely are feeling the championship hangover. They're going against the
They were
monsters
4-2.
here.
Wait, 4-3 or 4-2? Like, go. Can you scroll up?
Yeah, they were 4-2
at one point. Holy crap!
they were they were 4-2, and now they're 5-7. What a difference!
They're probably done. That's too much negative momentum.
Yeah, that is a lot of negative momentum. It's so true.
They have a chance. Numbers alone, they have a chance. I don't think
they actually have a really favorable schedule, though. Like, the Monsters and Blue Jays have not been winning games. I feel like if they
than the Dragons. Like, they're 4-8. Dragons are 5-7. I mean, they're 1 win separates them. It's not like they're that.
So
it's not
true.
like the Blue Jays. I don't think they're gonna get past the Wildcats. I mean, I had something like this happen to my team in season 8, where I started. I think it was almost the exact same circumstance. I was 4-2, and then I lost a bunch. Went to 5-5, lost a bunch more, finished the season with like 6 wins or something. It looks like the same scenario playing out here, and it's hard to recover because once you start losing that many games, it's like your players are losing momentum. It's hard to recover from.
Yeah, absolutely. And Marcus McNeil, the quarterback, has not been up to par. He is last for passing touchdowns, and I believe he is second or third for most interceptions, with only 16 passing touchdowns on the season. Marcus McNeil's definitely been struggling. Eric Watson was in there. Not as many as you would want him to.
Yeah, because I mean, his passing touchdowns is deceiving with a guy who runs that much, because he might.
So he's 16-9. He's 16-9. He's been sacked 17 times, which is way up there. I know that for sure. And his rushing.
Keep in mind, a sack also could just be a run play that went for lost yards.
It's only 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, it's not enough if you're going to run as much as he does. Like, if you're going to run,
it's not enough.
If you're only going to throw 16 touchdowns, you need to run for more touchdowns.
Yeah, when the average is like 25 passing touchdowns or more, and he's way down there for any quarterback that has started the entire season. All these guys are guys that got punched in. Like, you know what I mean? And have been and haven't even had full starts.
Yeah, Will Brooks played what, like 4 or 5 games?
Only a few games. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Up to, because then you start looking at this, and you got this list. I know we're gonna go back to the playoffs, but even you look, Thomas Brown, Jay Bomber, Eric Bell, are all well. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to divert you, but even with look, go to the touchdown sort again. Sort by touchdown, right? Brown, Palmer, Bell are all quarterbacks that run as well and have rushing touchdowns, and they're still throwing in the top of the league for touchdowns,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like you have to make up for the difference, right? When you're not like you'd think McNeil would be throwing a bunch.
Yeah, look, Eric Bell's got 2 rushing touchdowns and 32 touchdowns, and he's got 16 touchdowns and 3. So it's not with a lot more attempts.
Yeah, and I think I think you could do the same thing with Thomas Brown and Jay Palmer, but we can go back to the playoffs. The point's made. So
But
Dragons
yeah,
got it rough.
the Dragons have been struggling offensively. Even though they have the 5th rushing offense and 6th ranked, but it's the 14th passing offense that's really hurt them, and it's relevant when you see it now. But anyways, they're going against a team, the Monsters, that also have been struggling, that are also on a 3-game losing streak. Monsters definitely have been struggling, but they've looking a lot better with Will Brooks back there. Will Brooks has been playing amazing. But if one of these teams, the Blue Jays or Monsters, they have to win out. They have to win out. They can't. I don't think they're going to be able to get in with a
Absolutely
7-8
can't.
record, or
No, 7-8 won't get you in. 7-8
yeah.
probably like. Well, it might. It might. I was trying to make that argument earlier that it might, but I don't think it will. I think you need 8. You need a minimum of 8 to get in.
All right, and then the Gators, who were rolling, scoring 34, 49, 34, 42. Only loss was in overtime. It was a 3-point loss in overtime. 48, 35, 44, and 43, 38. Winning big points games, and then plays their arch enemy here, and lose 13-16. And they were at home too. That's
That
just
one a
an
blitz because
absolute.
it's the Vipers. Like, I don't know
That
what it
is
is.
an abs. Yeah, I don't know. Like, that is just absolutely devastating for the Gators. But they have been playing an absolute legendary season. Besides what just happened in Week 12, I thought this was the season they were going to beat the Gators for sure. I'm glad I'm not a gambling man, because I would have lost a lot of money on that one. Thomas
Oh, what
Brown, I
you would have
can't
bet on the
say.
Vipers beating the Gators?
I would have bet on the Gators beating the Vipers.
Oh,
This is the year.
okay.
Like, this is the year. Yeah, this is the year. Like, you know what I mean? If they were going to do it, this was the year they were going to do it, you think. Right? You know what I mean? They had me convinced for 11
Dude,
weeks.
I
They
was
had me.
too. Yeah.
They
What you
tricked
just
me.
said was going through my head about going to that game. I was like, you know what? This is it. They're 10-1. The Vipers are struggling. The Vipers were under 500.
Yeah.
We're like, this is it. This is the perfect storm for the Gators to finally beat the Vipers. Now the Gators are 10-2, and the Vipers are 500 back in the playoff race. I don't know what it is that the Vipers got over the Gators, but it's like you can't beat them at this scenario. Man, you gotta wonder if you're ever gonna beat them at that point.
Yeah, you do not want to meet them in the playoffs. The Vipers have beaten the Gators also in the playoffs. So, yeah, that's the Gators and Vipers is one of the greatest rivalries in our league in history, and we all love to talk about it, and we're all waiting for the Gators to beat them. I'm just glad I didn't bet on them this season. They had me convinced for 11 weeks, but they tricked me. But the Gators, I believe in you. This is the best season you have ever had in franchise history. You still have a chance to beat the Demons record for 12 wins. You potentially could win all 3 here.
Gotta win
and
out.
get 13.
And he takes it.
And he could get 13, but also the Gators probably have another one of the toughest. Demons and Gators are right up there for toughest last 3 games here to finish the season, as they play the Rhinos and the Bears. Panthers have been holding their own as well. They have a really good ranked offense. Jay Bomber and the rookie running back and the rookie wide receiver have been playing really well for them. Jonathan Bennett, look at that. They get the third ranked passing offense. But those Gators, man, first ranked offense and first
15th
rushing
ranked pass
defense.
defense.
Yeah,
Ranked pass
like there's,
offense against 15th pass defense.
yeah, look at that. Yeah, so true.
Well, we'll see. You know what? The Gators need to win this one. If they're gonna stay on top,
Yeah,
and they're gonna take a hold of this top seed, that's a game they must win. It's
yeah,
the last two are tough games, and you'd want to see them win them both to go into the playoffs as strong as they played the whole season. But next week, this is no slight on the Panthers. This is the 10-2 team playing a 4-8 team. The 10-2 have to win that game.
yeah. You would think they have to win. You would think.
They don't win that
Yeah,
game, where we're looking at the Gators in a whole new light.
for
There's a
sure.
lot of pressure on them for in this one. There's more pressure on this Panthers game than I think the Rhinos and Bears game for the Gators.
Yeah, but yeah. You don't want to be losing momentum going into the playoffs. That's for sure. And
100%.
10-2, man. The Rhinos and Bears game is gonna be a real strong game. And honestly, if they lose all three of these games and go 10-5, the Rhinos and Bears will have 9 wins with a chance to get 10 or 11 wins as well, and could potentially. Will we see the Gators momentum go down after the Vipers game? And will we see the Gators maybe even lose out and potentially lose the first seed? It's totally possible because the Rhinos and Bears are really good. They're super hot this year. And with that blow from the Vipers, can the Panthers take advantage of a crippled Gators right now? The ego of the Gators.
Can you imagine?
Boss.
Can you imagine if that's the way? Like, they have potential to either have the most successful season in CSFL history, or lose the top seed in the last couple weeks. Like, that's wild.
Wow.
That's a
Yeah,
like, if
that's
you finish 10-5, all of a sudden it's not. But like, you wouldn't even have this conversation. This would not even be going into the Vipers game. Nobody's talking about the Gators like this.
yeah, no, they got it. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You know the
I
Vipers
know.
are sitting there with a smile on his face listening to this.
I think everybody enjoys this. The Vipers especially, but everyone really enjoys this. And we've all been watching the Gators so closely this year, and the Gators know it. They're under the spotlight this year, and this is what it is. You want to be the best. You want to be the top seed, you get all the spotlight. The Demons had the big spotlight there when they were the number one seed recently, and same with the Rhinos when they were getting the number one seed. Everyone was talking and focusing on the Rhinos, and they're the bar, right? They're the measuring stick of how good you are because they're the best team this year, and that's the Gators. The Gators are the best team this year and have been for 12 weeks. So we'll see how they finish, and I hope they finish strong. You don't want to see them lose momentum and maybe go into the playoffs losing games and stuff. Like, oh my goodness, the Vipers with a sucker punch to the gut of the
Yeah,
Gators. Hopefully they can wipe this off and keep going.
yeah. You need to see a rebound game this week from them. They can rebound. We know that they're
Yeah.
a strong team. They got to come out. They got to come out strong and just do what they're supposed to do against the Panthers.
Oh, that's so freaking awesome. Love that. I'm glad we're doing this video. This is great. This is great television right here. The Gorillas with the best AI image gorillas, but their
Absolutely.
season has not been so great. They scored 52 points on the Dragons, and I could not believe it. I was absolutely shocked. They looked good in week 1, and then they put up 6 points against the Demons, and again, a big sucker punch to the gut, and the Gorillas never recovered. They had a really close game. I remember them trying really hard against their father, the Vipers, as the Gorillas and the Vipers are father-daughter combination for those that don't know. She really wanted to beat her dad, and you could tell by the game plan and everything and all the momentum, and lost by 2 points. And I was so devastated for her. I thought she was going to get him. And the Vipers came in through at the end and beat her. And then she had the momentum and then lost so many close games here. And then a 1 point game, 6 point game, and a 5 point game. Look at these losses here.
Yeah, it
And
almost looks like they were
then,
picking it up a bit against the Rhinos and Bears, and then kind of fell apart
yeah.
again against the Cobras. It's too many L's where
Ah,
they're just not even putting over 30. We know that magic number in the CFL is 30, CSFL. And like you need to
yeah.
be able to score. You need to score over 30 consistently, and they're not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. And at this point now, with 3-9 record, and they're officially out of the playoff run, this is kind of, playing for the first overall pick here. And I think that they're going to lose the game against the Werewolves, and the Monsters are going to lose this week as well. And then the Monsters and the Gorillas game is going to be the official game of 2010 or of season 10 as the game that nobody wants to win. We always have a game like this every year where the two bottom teams that are really bad, face each other near the end of the season, and neither team wants to win because they want that first overall draft pick or a higher draft pick, right? So I see that happening in week 14, and then the Wildcats again in week 15. Gorillas, it's really like I'm gonna start ripping on the Gorillas quarterback.
I
I
knew
have
you
to
were
do
gonna.
it.
I could have told
I
you. I could
have
have
to.
before you even got to the end of that segment. I was like, something's coming about Ishmael Pitts. Because even if they lose,
It has to.
even if they beat the Monsters, even like hypothetically they beat the Monsters with their second overall pick, they'll still get a quarterback because the Monsters, I think, Will Brooks, I think you can build around. They don't need a quarterback. But Ishmael Pitts, like, I think we've seen enough of him
Is
now, haven't we?
oh man, they signed Leroy Martin, a veteran quarterback in the free agency, and I got excited. But then they never started him. And Ismail Pitts once again. There is only one quarterback worse than Marcus McNeil. Okay, and that is
Oh
Ismail
boy,
Pitts.
you're making some enemies tonight, buddy. Which two? Billy Francis. No,
He
I'm
is
kidding, Johnny. I'm
Billy
kidding, man.
Francis is better. Billy Francis is better than Ismail Pitts. That's what
Listen,
I'm saying.
I gotta say that because it's the Scorpions. That's it. I got a new rival. I gotta I gotta get under his skin a bit. So, yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's
Ishmael
totally
Pitts
fine.
though, like
Ismail Pitts is absolutely he is the new Thomas Brown. He needs to go. Cedric Burley is doing everything he can there. He's carrying that team literally on his back. When you look at these numbers for Ismail Pitts, it's like, oh yeah, 22 touchdowns, 62%. No, this guy is not the answer.
they're
Cedric
bad CSFL
Burley,
numbers. They're
those
bad
are just
CSFL
bad
numbers.
CSF. Yeah, they're bad numbers, man. And he's not clutch, and it really comes down to him, and he just does not distribute the ball. Look at these wide receiver numbers. Tony Thomas 3. It's all Darius Young with garbage yards and touchdowns. And look at this, a receiver that has no touchdowns as their third wide receiver. It just gets uglier from there. The
So,
Gorillas need to make major changes offensively, in my
well,
opinion.
no, like then let's think this through then. If you hypothetically believe in Ishmael Pitts, is the problem that he just doesn't have enough weapons in the receiving core? Does he need more receivers? Or do you think
Well,
replacing
he
quarterback
get.
will make some of these guys better, like
I think
Tony
that
Thomas?
I think that any other quarterback in the league would do better with these guys. On top of they need another weapon. They definitely need another weapon. They don't have enough guys there. Tony Thomas is not cutting it. Doug obviously is their only other option, but I do believe other wide receiver, other quarterbacks, including Leroy Martin, their backup quarterback, including Billy Francis, would do better than Ismail Pitts because they would win games. I'm telling you, Ismail Pitts is the problem, and Ismail Pitts Gorillas is my new is my new Thomas Brown. Thomas Brown, thumbs up. Ismail Pitts, thumb down. Okay. Anyways, we're moving on.
All right.
Monsters. Oh my goodness, monsters. PJ, I love you, buddy. But this season, man, you got humbled. You got humbled. You got beat up. But you
Hey,
took
you
your
know what?
licks.
They've
But a
had the
lot
toughest
of these
schedule so
games.
far. Look at they've had to play
Yeah.
all the top 8, and like the currently in the. I know you want to be in the top 8, you got to win some of those games, but they're a newer team. They've had a really tough go. Look at who they got left in the season. They could win out.
Yeah, no, they got a really easy end of the schedule, but the Monsters are also an easy person on the schedule. 2 wins, 10 losses. They're going against the struggling Dragons, the Gorillas, the struggling Gorillas, and the struggling Scorpions. I still don't see the Monsters win a lot of these games, but Will Brooks coming in has been a huge change for the Monsters. Honestly, it's been a great change for them. Monsters are 10th ranked offense and 15th ranked defense. Let's take a look at their stats for the Monsters. The Monsters had Serge Robertson playing there. He was 6-1, doing nothing wrong. But they weren't winning games. And then they put Will Brooks in, and he played so much better, but he also wasn't winning games. There's a way that I can look to see who's got more starts, right? Isn't there a way to games started?
Yeah. Oh, I just scored up by started, I think. But that might think just sorted upside down by started. Yeah, now invert it. Find the first one.
Serge Robertson only started 2 games and he's 6-1, which means that he started. That means that Will Brooks started the rest of them, and he traded a quarterback for Will Brooks.
Yeah. The quarterback he traded was not going to get it done for them either, though. Will Brooks is the guy who could be an answer. I don't think Serge Robinson's going to get it done for him either. You want my honest opinion? There's got to be more behind those numbers. Like, because he's 6-1, they lose by 10 points. You know, like you don't know what the productivity is like, right? Is he going 3 and out a lot?
Yeah, exactly. The running game for the Monsters last season in season 9 was awesome. William Ostrom was doing great. They almost made the playoffs. They were right on the edge. I think they finished as the 9th or 10th seed. They were really, really close to getting in. And this season has just has not been the case. They've been switching up the running back position. They've been trying to get it going with Leon Jackson, and it just hasn't been working for them. So the passing game has also been suffering for it as well. And then the defense with the overall picks that they picked 2 middle linebackers in their first and second picks, and they did not pan out. I'm not saying that they're not going to pan out in the future, but they did not make immediate impacts and aren't putting up big stats and numbers for their team. And the Monsters are 2-10, and now looking to get the first overall draft pick as they're out of the playoffs. And we'll see how that season plays out, or the rest of these games play out. But I'm really excited for the Monsters franchise, man, and if they get the first overall pick, I know that he's going to do really well with it.
Yeah, you're going to get 2 solid starters at least in the first and second rounds with that pick. And the first guy you're going to get in the draft is going to be a franchise guy. So it should help them turn this thing around.
Panthers, they don't have an easy schedule either. Going against the Piranhas, Vipers, and Gators, that's a pretty tough schedule. But they are officially out of the playoffs at 4-8. They're here to play spoiler for these two teams, especially the Piranhas and Vipers. Gators, like we're saying, that they could potentially go 10-5, but um, Panthers have a chance now for the Gators losing last week against the Vipers in a really close game, only scoring 13 points. Can the Panthers take advantage of a Gators momentum that may have been compromised against the Vipers, build some momentum there, and then take that into the Piranhas game? As the Vipers and Piranhas are facing each other, and the Piranhas potentially could lose that game. Um, but yeah, the Panthers, they've been playing really well. The offensively, like I said earlier, they have the third ranked passing offense and have been putting up a lot of actually impressive numbers. Jay Bomber, the first ever owner, coach, and quarterback of a team, has his own team now, and he is playing great. Jay Bomber took the Piranhas as a player and as a coach to the championship game and lost to the Dragons just in last season in season 9, and now has his own team. He's putting up 34 touchdowns, 3,000 yards, doing really well. A lot of the games are, really close, and it's because of the quarterback play. The rookie quarterback or rookie running back has also been playing really well. That he drafted J.T. Morris, and he's also got Clint White in there at third down running back. And then Max Swain has been playing well, but really it's Jonathan Barnett. A lot, like he only shows 5 touchdowns there, but he has been their X factor, and has been the big reason like why they're really close in the end there. And obviously Max Swain has been playing well, and Jay Bomber has been playing really well. So I'm excited to see what they can build off of in that with that team with this coming draft here, and see if they can pay spoiler against the Piranhas and Vipers, and give them a loss, as the Vipers and Piranhas may need to win out.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for the fact that they're 4-8, you could almost look at Jay Ballmer's numbers and make the argument about it. It's a potential MVP season. The wins are killing them on that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And then the Piranhas, who were really good and then lost a bunch of games. They were also like the Dragons. They were 4-2 in the first 6 games, and now have gone 2-4 in the next 6 games.
Yeah, they're losing to everyone with a winning record.
They're losing to everyone with a winning record. There you go. Yeah. Good point.
That's tough.
They're going against the Vipers
now
here.
they're playing a team that's 500. So this is really, who are the Piranhas? Are they a team that can get over the hump right now with a little bit of a rebuild from last year after losing their quarterback, or are they gonna fade away like the Dragons? Both teams in the championship last year, and they're both gonna struggle to make the playoff, be on the outside looking in at the end of the year. I had to guess. I'd honestly say these guys I don't think they're making the playoffs. I think the Vipers are going to beat them, and I think the Rhinos are going to beat them. Panthers game, don't know, but I think they're going to at least lose 8, and I think they're out. But that means they're probably going to win the next 3 and go 9-6. Because CSFL, man.
Yeah, it's so true. You can't predict it. It's so hard to predict, but it's fun to speculate though, and it's fun to theory craft and
go over
all the scenarios.
Yeah, if I had to give you like by probability, I'm going to say the Vipers are the better team here, and they should win. I'm going to say the Rhinos are the better team in Week 15, and they should win. What does it mean? Like, right. What does that actually mean? Does it mean like 60-40, 70-30, 51-49? I don't know. It's definitely not 100% guaranteed. Like this, we all know CFL. You get one. You go up in a game late, and then all of a sudden your kicker kicks it out of bounds, and it's in your own end zone in 3 seconds. Like the game's wild. You can't predict these games.
My bold prediction, as I know we can't predict these games, but I'm gonna make a bold prediction here that the Piranhas are going to lose out. They're gonna lose against the Vipers, because the Vipers always play the Piranhas really hard. And then they're going to lose to the Panthers because the owner Jay Bomber. No one knows the Panthers or knows the Piranhas better than the Panthers owner. He's gonna beat them, and then the Rhinos are gonna beat them, and that would put the Piranhas at 6-9 and miss the playoffs. That's my bold prediction, which isn't that bold, but bold enough.
It's bold. It's bold. I mean, you're saying that a team they're even with right now they're gonna lose to, and you're saying a team that they're better than by record they're gonna lose to. It's bold. It's to say they're not gonna lose one more. I like it though. It's not an unreasonable prediction.
Excuse me. The Rhinos. Oh, let's just skip the Rhinos. No, I'm just kidding. The Rhinos. I know you've been waiting.
That's not a thing we can do. No.
I know
there's only
the
one
Rhinos
guy
been
that cares
waiting.
anyway, right? Yeah. Does anyone else actually care about the Rhinos? No, I'm just kidding. I'm messing. I gotta get some jokes in. They're doing well. They're having another good season. Like, this is a strong team having a strong season. It's par for the course for these guys, and we'll see. This is gonna be a great game with the Demons this week. But
yeah,
Gators
Demons
is a big game too.
Yeah, then the
They're
Gators and then the Piranhas.
Yeah. Like, they're gonna win at least one more. They're making the playoffs. They're gonna win at a minimum. They'll beat the Piranhas and they'll make the playoffs. But the next two are toss up.
Yeah, looks like they're gonna play in game of the week in the next 2 weeks, man. Because they're playing the Gators and they're playing the Demons. That's gonna be hard not to make that game of the week. But Demons are game of the week. 7-5. The Rhinos are coming off a 3-game winning streak. They've won 5 out of their last 6. They're rolling and getting hot at the right time. When you want to be picking up momentum on the back half of the season. The Rhinos have perfected the CSFL game, and they've won 2 championships back-to-back, and they do not have the championship hangover, and they're still rolling here in Season 10 and putting up a huge record at 8-4 here at Week 13. Now going against the Demons and Gators. Demons are explosive, obviously, offensively, and the Gators are the best team in Season 10 as of right now. And the Piranhas play everybody hard, so none of these games are easy. The Rhinos could definitely win one of these games. I no doubt that they could win all of the games, but if they lose all of these games, is also not a far stretch, should I say. So we're going to see.
They still might be in the playoffs even going 0-3. Like, that's the other thing here. They could.
Right.
They might already be in at 8 wins.
8-7,
you never know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be tough, so we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But the Rhinos playing strong, and their offense has been killing it, man. Eric Kelly, and Randy Dorsey, and obviously the quarterback has just been so consistent. Alonzo Atkins. Anyone with the name Alonzo in this league needs to be drafted instantly.
That's it, eh? 62 overall, but the name's Alonzo. Let's go for it.
Let's go. He'll pull it off. The Scorpions, they were looking not too good in the first 4 weeks. I guess that's the best way to put it. And then they put on a little 3-game win streak there. They beat the Piranhas and they beat the Vipers. And there was some momentum being built there. I remember the Scorpions really felt like they had the game plan figured out and knew exactly what they wanted to do. And it was working for them. And they beat the Vipers. And we were all shocked because the Vipers, we didn't know were having a struggling team at Week 6 yet. And the Scorpions got away with that win. Then they played the Panthers, won a really close game, and then they got
won since Week 7. Holy!
They have not won since Week 7, or Week 8, since the Rhinos took a licking to them there.
And they have not won since they traded Jackie Wilson.
They have not won. Oh, no. Yeah, they have not won since they traded Jackie Wilson. That's correct. Yeah.
Because
That is
week 8 was
correct.
the first game where they got Tony Miller. And I think they moved Tony Miller right to the Rhinos that week, didn't they? Or did they actually play a game with Tony Miller in the roster?
They did play one game with Tony Miller on the roster.
Okay, so they played the Rhinos with Miller, and
Yeah.
then traded him to the Rhinos. He took the Rhinos bus back to Rhino Land.
Yeah, yeah. The Rhinos beat him, and then he got on the Rhinos bus. That's so
And
funny.
that's a shame because that's like they ended up making some good moves with some of that, but yeah, like that obviously they haven't worked out for him. I thought some of those trades he was going to come out and look pretty good. Green was the QB from the Monsters, right? Piranha too,
That's
if
right.
I'm not mistaken.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, this receiving core, yeah, Solomon Briggs too. They ended up getting a 99 overall receiver out of that, and they have Justin Porter at tight end. Craig Jackson's a former first overall draft pick. Like these guys, and Louis Sherman's still there.
Yeah,
This is a
Lewis
good.
Sherman was rookie. He was rookie of the year with the Genie Ingram.
Yeah, like that four when they're playing a 3 receiver set, and you've got those 4 on the field. This is the team to be feared. Like this is not a slouch offense. It's the quarterback, man. I know that he likes Billy Francis. I know he writes about it in the chat, and everyone loves the nickname and blah blah blah. Billy Francis needs to prove something to the Scorpions in the last 2 weeks of this season. He needs to show that he can get it done because they're not. Are they playing Green or are they playing Francis? I don't even know.
They're playing Billy
Like in the last
Francis.
2
Yeah.
weeks. So
Yeah.
they're still giving Francis a shot, right? He's got to show that
Yeah.
he can get it done. See, I don't think the receiver's the problem. Even after moving Wilson, they still have a solid receiving core.
It's very true. Yeah, Rodney
Don't
Green
know how many
only
of those.
started 5. He only started 5 games,
You don't know how many of those are for the Monsters.
but I don't know how many of those are for the Monsters. Yeah.
Either way, I
So
mean the
anyway,
story's there.
yeah.
They've got to win some more games than the season. The Billy Francis has got to show something to redeem. He's only a second-year quarterback, so
Yeah.
he's he's got some room to progress. This isn't
Yeah.
his peak. You gotta if you're gonna go with a guy and you believe he's long term, you gotta go through the highs and lows. But
Absolutely.
I mean, Billy Francis to me is what Ismail Pitts was to you. I look at this guy and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't see enough bright lights out of him. Like I don't see the positives outweighing the negatives, and it's just there's too many negatives.
Yeah. Yeah, he's tied for most interceptions thrown with Lester Frost and Ismail Pitts.
And Lester Frost is a rookie, right?
Lester Frost, this is his first season ever starting, yeah, but he's a 2-year pro.
Do you ever get progressions though?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Lester Frost has got himself in a playoff spot though. That's also a difference.
Yeah, no, he's been winning games. Lester Frost has been playing amazing, actually. We're going to talk about him coming up. But yeah, Scorpions out of the playoffs right now, but have a chance to play spoiler going against the Wolverines, Werewolves, and the Monsters. Yeah, let's see what this new owner can do, or the new coach can do, Coach Henny. He's been doing great. Proud of him for what he's been doing, but keep on chugging away there, and we'll see how the draft goes for you and see what you can build off of the team that you got right now. And then we got the Vipers. They have been struggling, is definitely an understatement, but no one has lost more games that were close and that were like last second this season than the Vipers. Every season there's 1 or 2 teams that just keep losing really, really close games or losing them right at the end, and that is the Vipers this year. They crushed the Rhinos in week 1, by the way, and then they lost by
week
1
one
point.
though. Week 1 is might be the most unpredictable week of any
Yeah,
week.
Yeah, but they, but
Like
it wasn't, but it
literally, it
wasn't
almost has
close.
no bearing on the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, you're
It's like
right.
you
You're right.
flush
You're
week one away and you go move on.
right. You're right. But they did crush them, and
Yeah, well they
and
did. They still did. Yeah, yeah.
they crushed them, and then they lost by 1 point, 3 points, and then they won by 1 point and won by 2 points, then lost by 5 points. Like all of these games are all determined. 5 out of these 6 games are determined in like under 5 points, under one score. Like they've been all really really close games, and then again it keeps doing the same thing. A really really close game, 6 points, really close game, one touchdown, one field goal. The Vipers have been trying to keep it really close and win it at the end, and they got the big win that they wanted against the Gators. And they play a little bit different when they play the Gators, obviously. And hopefully they can build off of that momentum because they were kind of slouching a little bit, and we were all worried about the Vipers. Well, at least I was. I was worried about the Vipers. Didn't think that this was going to be a good season for them, even though they got all the numbers. They have the greatest team on paper. They have the first ever 99 overall defensive player in Dale Wooden. They have real deep team on the defensive line and linebacker and corners, and but they haven't been able to transition that on the field. Now they're going against the Piranhas, and Piranhas always play the Vipers really good. And then the Wolverines are on a hot streak, and then the Panthers, the brand new Panthers team. What do you think they're going to do here? Do you think they're going to win out? Demons, what do you think about the Vipers?
There is no team in this league that I think can get things done better than the Vipers. The Vipers are the gold standard in my mind. I know that the Rhinos got their 2 championships and so do the Dragons, but the Vipers in my mind are the team that when you're playing them, you're like, oh god, I got to play the Vipers this week. Like that's
Yeah.
the only team that I really go that I do that with. Like there's not any
Right.
other team on the schedule that really makes me think like, oh crap, I got to play them. The Vipers
Right.
and the they've proven it over time, and maybe I'll eat these words, but my bold prediction is I could easily see them winning out and going and making another run for a championship. Easily.
They could be the dark horse of this season, eh?
I don't even think they're a dark horse. I just think they're good, and they're gonna show it in the last 3 weeks. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, they could
They're gonna
win
beat the
out.
Piranhas. They're gonna beat the Panthers. They're gonna beat the Wolverines. I don't think they're gonna lose another game. They might not lose another game in all of season 10. They might win 6 games straight and take the crown.
No, imagine, imagine. That's totally possible, and I would not be shocked at all.
I wouldn't either.
If
That's
that-
the thing about
yeah.
that. There's not many teams you can say that about, and
True.
I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked to see it.
True. Wow.
Talk to me in
That's
6 weeks. We'll see how it
Yeah,
goes.
yeah. Well, this is on film, so we'll prove it. We'll highlight reel it. There you go. The bold prediction from the Vipers or from the Demons owner, but really isn't that bold. But it is.
No,
but it isn't.
That's low hanging fruit. That one. Yeah. These
Okay,
werewolves,
and
look at they're
then-
getting hot at the right time too.
This is a great story to talk about. The Werewolves were again 2-4. They were not looking good, man, and then they have only lost one game since. They beat the Vipers, and I remember that game actually, and I was so shocked. I know the Werewolves are a great team, but I just didn't think they were gonna beat the Vipers, and they beat them, and I was like, wow, the Werewolves are like maybe for real this season. And then they lost to the Panthers, which was a really close game. Panthers played amazing. That was Jay Bomber right at the end. And then they beat the Rhinos. And I was like, whoa, they beat the Vipers and the Rhinos? No way.
Two-score
there's
win
no
over
way.
the Rhinos too. Like that's a
Yeah,
two-score win.
And then they beat the Bears. And then I was like, whoa, they are for real. Like, Lester Frost is the reason. Like, I knew it was Brian Miller. I knew they got to get rid of Brian Miller. And now they brought in Lester Frost, and he's winning these games, and he's distributing the ball, and they still got the running game. The running game, the numbers aren't really there for Chris Jones, but when they call on him, he plays amazing. He had a 200 rushing yard game this season. Chris Jones, the running back for the Werewolves, is still strong and hot and doing great, but they just don't need to call on him as much because they got Lester Frost, who's really been distributing the ball, which is really
Yeah,
nice to see. They also started getting some touchdowns to the younger wide receivers, getting them more involved. They've been rotating the wide receivers and putting in game plans every week. I love what the Werewolves are doing and what they're building, and they have the number one ranked defense for the last 3 weeks. I don't know if they actually, if they do, they still do have the number one ranked defense. Um, yeah, and they're on a 4 game winning streak now and have won 5 out of their last 6 games, beating the Rhinos and the Bears and the Dragons and the Cobras, who are really strong teams. Now going against the Gorillas with all the momentum, you can't imagine them losing this, and then they're going against the Scorpions. Excuse me. Can't imagine them losing that, and then they're gonna have a good challenge against the Wolverines. They could lose that game because the Wolverines are hot right now, man. They got an amazing running game, the best running game actually in the league right now.
better than the
Werewolves look
Gators.
great, man. Besides the Gators, yeah. Well,
Yeah, because
honestly, I
I think
think
at some point in time, Rico Bennett overtook Johnny Romolo. I couldn't believe it when it happened because Johnny Romolo was so far ahead of everybody, but Rico Bennett is now the top rusher. I'm pretty sure.
yeah, he came back, and then Rico, and then Jimmy Romolo took it back again.
Oh, really?
Because Jimmy,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
they've been
Romolo
going
was
back and
so far
forth.
ahead of everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. We'll
I
take a
mean,
look at that with we
regarding
look
the
at the
werewolves,
Wolverines
though, I
here.
mean,
Yeah.
these guys are super strong.
Mhm.
They're looking at least 9 wins here, I think, and they're gonna host a
Mhm.
playoff game. They're looking great. This is a great season for them.
Yeah, speaking of like teams that are like dark horse teams or teams that maybe not a dark horse, but like teams that are people are overlooking that aren't giving enough credit. Vipers maybe are one of them, but these Werewolves are definitely one of them because everyone still like respects the Vipers. At the end of the day, like you said, they still fear them when they see them, no matter what their record says. But the Werewolves, I feel like people kind of bully these guys a little bit and maybe overlook these guys and don't give the guys the credit they deserve. And they do have the number one ranked defense for a reason. They got a phenomenal defense out there, man. And their corners are great. They got a rookie cornerback who's playing phenomenal right now. I can't remember his name right now, but he was a first round draft pick. I think it was Michael Ward. I think it was Michael Ward. And he's been playing really good for the Werewolves, shutting people down, right? And the big reason why they have the number one ranked defense is because of him. And now they're picking it up on offense. They're attacking both sides of the ball. I got really, really high hopes for the Werewolves. And if they go and they make it, even if they make it as like an eighth seed or like a seventh seed, I would not be shocked if they knock out like a first or second seed. This is going to be the team that does it. They're a hard nosed, number one ranked defense team coming into the playoffs, even as a low seed. They're gonna do damage for sure.
Yeah, I could see them making a run. I could see them
Yeah,
making a run.
which would be great to
I don't
see.
think they're a dark horse anymore. Like they've hit this point where when you win as many games as they've won and you've won them against high caliber teams like they've played. Like yeah, it's 7-5. It's 2 games above 500. It's a good record. It's not 10-2 like the Gators, but how they're winning games, they're impressive, and they've with when they've won them, which is lately, right? So it's
Yeah,
all
which
getting
is
it's all going in the right direction for them.
yeah, it's so true. Wildcats. I'll let you take the floor for the Wildcats here. What's your thoughts on the Wildcats?
Let's scroll down some more. Let's see. Win, win, loss, win, win, loss, win, win, loss, win, loss, win. Okay, so looks like you and me have the same problem, Johnny. We can't string our games together enough. I have the same problem with Demons, man. It's like we're not getting the win streaks going enough. 8-4 is a really good record. You're happy. I'm sure you're happy with it. You've played some really tough teams as well in there. Cobras is your toughest game left. I think the Wildcats. If I had to predict on who's hosting home playoff games right now, it's going to be Gators, Wildcats, Werewolves, and one of Bears, Rhinos. I don't know who. It depends on they play each other still or no.
The Bears or
I mean,
Rhinos?
either way. Yeah. Either way, the one of those two is gonna host a playoff game. I think. Maybe I don't know. Wolverines are in there too, so I mean, maybe I'm speaking too soon. So there's gonna be a really good team that doesn't host a playoff game though, more than one. Um, they'll make the playoffs but won't host it.
Right.
Wildcats will host. I think the Wildcats will host. They're gonna get to at least 10 wins, if not get to 11. I mean, looking at this,
Wow.
You never know because the way that you got this win-win loss thing. The problem that I see with that is if you make the playoffs and you string the three together that you need to get to the championship, right? Because you have to be able to get the streak going. The
Right.
Wildcats are a solid team overall. We know they're going to put points on the board. We know they can beat anyone they line up against. They need to start. You know what? Like winning out will go a long way to showing that they can put the streak together, and I
It's
think they can
true,
do
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean,
Yeah.
these playoffs are gonna be insane. There's no way, no way. We should have a pool for the CSFL playoffs because it's gonna be completely unpredictable. Whoever
Yeah.
you're gonna get a different outcome from everybody if you do it.
It's so true. Everyone's just gonna bet on themselves.
Yeah, but I mean, we all know how that works out, right? I mean, it's you know, it's
Yeah,
the
that
team that
would
you're
be cool.
lining up against can never be underestimated in the CSFL.
Oh, it's so true. No, it's so true. You're absolutely right. And just to think best case scenario, because we could talk worst case scenario where the Wildcats lose these games or they get upset by the Dragons or the Cobras for sure. They could definitely lose those games as the Dragons and Cobras are really desperate right now and they're fighting for a playoff win. No doubt. But in a good scenario, we'll say the Wildcats potentially could steal the first overall first seed from the Gators potentially because
Absolutely, absolutely.
they have one of the easiest schedules with the last three games, and they are one of the best teams with the easiest schedule.
Yeah, they might get to
So
11 wins. Like this
yeah,
is a very high probability of getting to 11 wins here.
yeah, because the Gators have a really tough schedule. The Bears have a tough
No,
schedule. The
it's harder
Rhinos
than
have a
this.
tough schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh for sure. They all have a lot harder schedules, right? Where the Wildcats have an easier schedule. They've already gone through the harder teams. But the Cobras are no joke, man. I think I still think the Cobras even right now. I think the Cobras are gonna beat the Wildcats just because of the way they've been playing, how hard nosed of a team they are. They can shut down the Wildcats' biggest strengths. The Cobras are a really good team, and they're desperate for a win. They're right on the edge, and I feel like the Dragons are right there on the edge too. So you know, you know what happens when you back an animal into a corner? They fight back like hell. So it's
100%,
totally
100%.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cobras and Dragons have something to fight for. Assuming if the Dragons win in week 13, they still have something to fight for going against the
Right.
Wildcats. So yeah, these aren't rollover games. It's just I'm just all I'm doing is looking at records and saying the Wildcats have a better record. I mean the
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything really. I mean the Cobras Wildcats
Yeah.
if they start coasting, they're gonna lose if they're gonna drop a game or two here if they start coasting. They got to keep the foot on the gas.
You're absolutely right. But it's fun to judge teams by one win or one loss. It's fun to do it though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially when you know like that loss, the team's like winning the whole game, and they lose on the last play. And now all of a sudden they're 6-6 instead of yeah.
It's so true. The Wolverines were struggling in the beginning there. They absolutely lit up the Panthers. They had a shootout, like, wow. And then they crushed the Monsters, and then they went on this 3-game losing streak. But they are playing, obviously, really good teams that are all 8-4 now. And
Bye-bye
then they
tiebreaker.
bye-bye
Right?
tiebreaker. Yeah, it's
That's
true.
it.
Yeah, because
There's
they
a home
lost to
game for
all
these
the
guys.
yeah, they lost all the tiebreakers. And then they went on a 4-game winning streak, scoring 49 points against the Blue Jays and 48 points against the Cobras, which is not easy to do because the Cobras are a really good defense. Then they beat the Demons by 1 point. I know you
Well,
remember that game.
yeah, like a last
And
bit. That was one of those ones where it's a Hail Mary at the end of the game, and it happens. My Hail Mary, I actually had time to get a Hail Mary, and mine ended on the 3-yard line or something like
yes, I
that. So
remember that. I remember
yeah,
that. I remember that. That's right. You got caught just before. Yeah, and had no timeouts.
yeah,
And
it
then
happens.
and
I
then
mean, it was a good game.
yeah, it was a great game. And then they lost to the Gators. I really thought they were gonna beat the Gators, man. When you watch this game, it was one of the best games of the year, honestly. The Gators versus the Wolverines. It just was back and forth. I think it was like 40 points combined between the two teams was scored in like the fourth quarter. It was just an absolute amazing game to watch, and just lost that, and then still picked the momentum back up against the Gorillas and the Panthers. Johnny
Wow,
Romolo.
that's their only loss. That's their only loss in their last 7 games.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
yeah. So their only loss is against the top team. Yeah, so I
yeah.
mean, I wish we would have got to these guys earlier. Like, I feel like I've kind of brushed them off a little bit because that, we talked about some of these other teams playing them and saying, well, maybe they could beat them. But yeah, the Wolverines may be the hottest team in the league right now.
I think they are. They really are. They have the numbers to really back it up. Johnny Romolo now holds the record. He broke the record for sure. 24 touchdowns, man, and still has 3 games to go. Can Johnny Romolo get to 30?
Yeah, that is
Wow.
the record. The record is 23. So he's broken it
Yeah.
already, and he's got 3 games to go. Wow. And
Yeah.
just for the note, he's beaten the single season rush yard record by exactly 1 yard. The record is
Wow.
1960. So I guess you know what, it seemed like for a bit he was losing his momentum, but I guess he got it back because I swear Rico Bennett overtook him for a bit. But that rushing record is going to still get shattered by him, like we thought. Just Rico Bennett's going to shatter it as well because the rushing record's 1960 in one season.
Wow. Which was set by Rico Bennett, right?
Bryce Locker.
Oh,
Locker.
Bryce Locker, of course. Bryce Locker, of course, of course. Bryce Locker. Wow, man. Johnny Romolo, the real deal. He was Rookie of the Year last year, and
Now he's
now
going to
is
probably get
gotta
MVP.
be gotta be MVP. You would think, like, especially if they make the playoffs and do really well. And like, come on, man, Johnny Romolo, what a draft pick.
Yeah, because what
And
QB has separated themselves from the pack to make themselves a MVP candidate, right? Like, I don't know. Could you go to I mean, they're the last team on the list. Let's go to league stats quick, because I mean, we know the Wolverines. They're hot. They could win out, and they could get top seed just like the Wildcats. I mean, let's finish on looking at some MVP candidates here.
yeah, absolutely. Who do you want to look at?
The league. Let's see the league. Okay, so Thomas Brown's having a good year, but his yards are low. Pat Hall is having a good year, but it's low for Pat Hall. I mean, it's not 5,050 touchdowns. Palmer's doing good too, yeah. I mean,
I'd say Thomas Brown is probably, depending on how, because we still got 3 games right to go. Thomas Brown could lose out and the Wildcats could win out, but as of right now, I think Thomas Brown has had the better season and if we had to pick a quarterback that was MVP, it would be Thomas Brown right now
give
because of the
give
quarterback rating,
Pat Hall
right?
Rico Bennett. Give Pat Hall Rico Bennett though, and how good does he do? Right?
Yeah.
Like Rico Bennett and Johnny Romolo are the best running backs in season 10.
Oh, look how many sacks Pat Hall has. Only 5.
Okay, but yeah, okay, you can't look at the sacks for QBs that run because they'll tuck the ball and run and and their numbers get inflated because they'll get like yards
True.
per loss, right? Like
True.
it still counts as a sack, but I mean
Thomas Brown,
I mean
68% completion rating.
yeah, out of that list of top 5 that you just had, like I don't know how you sorted it by it was rating.
Yeah.
4 of those teams are playoff teams.
Yeah.
Like and Jay
Okay.
Bombers won championship last year.
So it's no doubt it's Johnny Romolo for running back.
Or unless Rico Bennett somehow overtakes him, I think like is there a receiver that could beat him out? Can't be a Blue Jay. I can't be a Panther either. It's just because you don't know how much it's like coming from behind. Too much of that, right? Benson's doing pretty good, but it's 778 yards though, yeah. No, there's really no receiver. Like Rucker might be shattering a record too, though, that we're not even looking at.
Yeah, he's got to be
Rucker's
really close.
approaching it. 1899 is the record by Randy Dorsey.
Yeah, so only
that's
300. Yeah, 300 yards in 3 games for sure. He could touch that.
At his yards per game, he won't make it. He'll make it to 1878.
Yeah.
But he'll be 21 yards short of it.
Look at look at this rookie wide receiver, man. For the Wolverines.
That looks like look at this guy. 2 years in a row, the Wolverines are gonna have rookies of the year. Like this guy's he's got to be a high candidate. I know there's other good rookies out there that we're not thinking of right now, but this guy's like really it's Romolo and Bennett fighting for the MVP right now, and Romolo has the huge touchdown advantage over him. So the Wolverines are going to come home probably with some hardware for this guy too. This is an insane season for the Wolverines.
It is an insane season for the Wolverines. Yeah, they could get MVP and Rookie Offensive Player of the Year back to back. Man, this guy don't miss in the draft.
Yeah, apparently. Watch out for him, man, because like that's crazy.
Apparently.
Yeah. Don't draft right after him. You're gonna be upset. Yeah. I don't think there's a lot of defensive standouts this year.
Oh, Santonio Robertson's getting close.
He is.
He's close.
The interception record is 6.
6? Yeah.
Yeah. There's a ton of players that have 6, though. So if he gets one more, he joins a pretty long list. Right now, he's joining a long list.
But he has
5.
a chance, though. He's got 3 games.
He does.
And he needs,
he needs
2 picks. Yeah. Yeah, it's totally possible. Trent Cannon, wow.
Yeah, he likes to attack people behind the line of scrimmage. That's his favorite thing. Those cornerbacks for the Werewolves too, though, eh? And Harvey Howard as well. Like this team has got built up fast. Out of a lot of the newer teams, they got built up so fast.
Yeah, he nailed those draft picks, man. He nailed it. Another corner for the Wolverines. Getting a defensive touchdown, like oh yeah. Everyone's only got 1. But yeah, kick return. You can look at the kick return. Your boy CJ Holiday.
Yeah, I don't think he's got a. I think it's got to be like I think the record's 9 or something ridiculous. I don't know if I've actually got that recorded on the list. I probably put it in there, but it was wasn't it Owens from the Cobras?
Yeah, he beat Josh Ingram's record, and I think Josh Ingram had 6.
If
Yeah.
Holiday gets one a game in the next three in the next 3 games, he'll tie the record. So it's a good season he's having, returning kicks and playing receiver, but it's not. I don't think he's getting the record. I don't think it's too far away.
All right, man. Well, that was awesome. Thanks, guys, for watching the video. If you made it this far, there's our predictions for the playoffs anyway, and a good look at the stats and who we think is going to be MVP and our thoughts on almost every single team and predicament. What's your final thoughts as we end the video here, Demons? What do you think?
Of course, everyone's stuck to watch the whole video, Johnny. It's CSFL content, and we all love it. Thank you for having me, buddy.
Oh, that was awesome, man. I love these conversations. This is awesome. Thank you, man.
No problem.